Today on How It's Made Dream Cars, the Maserati Qattroporte, a luxury sedan with the heart of a sports car. Back in 1914, in the northern Italian city of Bologna, the Maserati brothers founded a race car company, which has become a legendary brand. In 1940, the company moved to the nearby city of Modena, where it has remained ever since. Though it moved, the company retains its trident emblem, which was inspired by a famous sculpture in Bologna, the birthplace of Maserati. So renowned is the brand that it has its own museum. Here, fans can chart the history of the company through its iconic car designs like the 1953 A6 GCS, the 1959 3500 GT, and the single-seater, open-wheeled 6cm racing car from the 1930s. Also on display are the drawings of the very first car branded as a Maserati, the Tipo 26. These designs are among the company's founding documents. Mario Maserati's sketch of the trident emblem can also be found here. The Qattroporte made its debut in 1963 and quickly became the company's flagship model. Maserati is celebrating the Qattroporte's 50th anniversary with the release of this brand new redesign of the famous car. As part of the 50th anniversary redesign, the new Qattroporte's body is longer and wider than the previous version. At the same time, it's over 200 pounds lighter. That's because the entire car is now 1/3 aluminum. To ensure that the car bodies meet the highest manufacturing standards, technicians submit them to stringent metrology tests. Taking random samples of components from the production line, these workers install them on a master copy of the car's body, called a Meisterbach. They then use extremely precise calipers and other measuring devices to make sure the parts are exactly the right size. A tiny amount of variation is acceptable, but only within a few tenths of a millimeter. Metrology continues on another master copy of the car. Here, small stickers line the parts every 4 inches. These are guides for the workers who use laser technology to measure the geometry of the manufactured parts and check the part conformity before they are assembled on the production line. If the metrology measurements are set, production continues. Here, 2 workers get to work putting together the rear section of the car's chassis. A large clamping mechanism brings the parts together so that the technicians can start joining them with a set of welding guns. The technicians follow a series of reference points as they spot weld the steel components together with an electrical charge of 380 volts. Next, an automated mechanism lifts all the components of the chassis into this yellow clamping device called a gauge. The gauge aligns the parts. Once everything is in place, a set of robots swings into action, welding and drilling with incredible efficiency. Another robot holds the left side of the car flat as it applies a thin bead of sealant with the aid of cameras. The robot then installs the part in another gauge. The gauge turns the part, and working with another set of gauges, brings all the parts of the car body together. This is what car manufacturers call a body in white. That means that the sheet metal and aluminum components of the body have been welded and riveted together. Once or twice per 8-hour shift, a body in white is chosen at random for a quality control check to make sure production remains accurate. The car body is now ready for a paint job. For that, it comes here to the paint shop. To start things off, the car body takes a bath to remove any residual grease or dust. Next, a shower completes the job. The car hangs from a chain. A current runs through the chain, giving the body an electrical charge. A pool of liquid beneath it has the opposite electrical charge. As the car body lowers into the pool, paint particles suspended in the liquid are attracted to the metal thanks to these electrical charges. This is called a cataphoretic coating. The coating bakes on in an oven, and then a large duster made of emu feathers removes any residual static. Now, two workers apply a coating of electrostatic paint in polyurethane liquid primer form. They paint all the hard-to-reach areas of the car body. Now it's time for a robot to complete the process. The car body has an electrical charge, while the waterborne color base coat paint powder has the opposite charge. The two charges attract each other, making the paint stick to the surface of the metal. The robots spray on a clear coat resin top coating to finish the job. The body now heads into a huge oven, where the paint will bake on in about 20 minutes at 285 degrees Fahrenheit. Every single paint job on every single car undergoes an incredibly thorough inspection. Once it passes this inspection, the body of the Maserati Qattroporte is done. But the car is far from complete. For one thing, it needs an engine. This engine shop is in the Ferrari plant in Maranello, not far from Maserati's home base in Modena. Ferrari bought Maserati in 1999. The Qattroporte's brand new engine is co-designed by Maserati and Ferrari engineers. Using a pneumatic lifting tool, a Ferrari technician picks up an engine shaft and transports it to a waiting engine block. To help make the new Qattroporte lighter, the engine block is made entirely of aluminum. The engine shaft, however, is steel. The Qattroporte comes with either a V6 or a V8 engine. This one is a V6 with 404 horsepower and a maximum torque of 406 pound-feet. The technician installs a series of clamps called bridges over the shaft. Each bridge has a mate on the other side of the shaft. Together, the two bridges form a ring the technician bolts together. 4 rings in total firmly secure the shaft in place. Once the engine shaft is secured, the engine block moves to the next station, where the technician can install the pistons. This is done manually. One by one, the worker fits the pistons into their waiting cylinders. Each piston has a connecting rod extending down from the head. The connecting rod forms a semicircle at the bottom. This semicircle fits around the engine shaft. This bottom end of the piston's connecting rod must be securely fastened to the engine shaft. To gain access to these fastening points, the engine block is flipped upside down. A specialized device then turns the engine shaft, exposing the bolts that need to be fastened. In their designs for the engine, the engineers included the specific amount of torque that should be applied to each bolt when tightening it. The tightening mechanism follows these instructions automatically. On the top of the engine block, 2 covers will enclose the camshafts. Before installation, a robot prepares them by applying a thin bead of sealant all around the edges. As the robot performs its task, it simultaneously takes photos of the operation and compares them to a master. 2 technicians then install the covers over the camshafts. Not only is this engine co-engineered by Maserati and Ferrari, it's co-manufactured as well. A Ferrari technician now connects all the wiring for the spark plugs, the direct injectors, and the engine's multiple sensors, among other things. Not only is this newly designed engine lighter than its predecessor, It's simultaneously more powerful, more efficient, and more versatile. It can be switched from rear-wheel drive mode to all-wheel drive, and from automatic to manual at the press of a button. In all-wheel drive, the car can accelerate to 60 miles per hour in just 4.9 seconds and reach a maximum speed of 177 miles per hour. The new engine is able to achieve these new parameters thanks in part to two new additions: small parallel twin-swirl turbines. Maserati engineers were able to integrate the turbine housing into the exhaust manifold, keeping the new components compact and lightweight. Each turbine will be fed by its own air-to-air intercooler. Having installed a metal gasket at the exhaust manifold attachment point, the technician positions the turbine and bolts it in place. Fully assembled, these V6 and V8 engines are ready for transport back to the Maserati plant. All the components of the Qattroportes have been manufactured. Now it's time to put them together. The fully assembled body hangs suspended above the mechanical elements as technicians prepare to unite them. Maserati technicians call this phase the marriage. Getting to this point requires many precision steps. The assembly shop is where all the elements of the Qattroporte come together. First, technicians assemble the front section of the mechanical group. This includes the engine, the transmission, the front shock absorbers, the front end of the exhaust system, and the front brakes, which for the time being have a protective cover on them. This subgroup travels on a moving floor to meet the rear subgroup. To unite these two ends, the technicians start by installing the middle section of the exhaust system, which is made up of two parallel pipes. This joined middle section will then be connected to two separate exhaust pipes that fan out to either side of the car. These two back sections of the exhaust system include two separate mufflers. A scientific study conducted in the UK a few years ago found that Maserati engines sparked an interesting response in women. In fact, 100% of the women tested experienced a spike in testosterone levels when listening to a Maserati roar. This may have something to do with the special curves and bypasses featured in these exhaust systems. Using a larger hook system, a technician then installs the transmission shaft. Following Maserati tradition, the transmission for the new Qattroporte has 5 different modes: Auto Normal, Auto Sport, Manual Normal, Manual Sport, and the ICE, or Increased Control Efficiency mode. And what's brand new in the Qattroporte is an all-wheel drive mode. Next, the technician lowers the fuel tank into place. Capable of holding 21 gallons of fuel, it's a big tank for a big car. The Qattroporte with the V8 engine can go 62 miles on 3.1 gallons of fuel. Here, a worker begins to prepare the car's dashboard for installation. As the interface between the driver and the car, the dashboard is a key element of the automobile's interior. The Qattroporte dashboard is made of magnesium for lightness and strength, and upholstered in leather by specialists in Modena. After inserting the steering column, technicians install and connect all of the electronics. It's a high-tech dashboard, which means there are a lot of wires. In addition to standard features like cruise control, speedometer, and tachometer, there's a touchscreen monitor which controls the radio, the GPS navigator, DVD player, Bluetooth connections, and heating and ventilation systems. The high-end sound system features 15 speakers distributed throughout the car. And there's no need to press a button or use a key to unlock the car. The key just needs to be in your pocket or handbag when you're pulling on the door handle or the trunk. The new Qattroporte can hit 190 miles per hour, making it among the fastest mass-produced sedans in the world. Technicians now use a special grip mechanism to carefully install the dashboard. The grip holds the dashboard in position as they fasten it in place. All that's missing is the steering wheel. If the driver chooses to use the car in manual mode, 2 paddles on either side of the steering column make it easy to shift through the Qattroporte's 8 speeds while keeping both hands on the wheel. With the dashboard installed, it's time to put windows in. This robot uses vacuum-powered suction cups to carefully pick up a piece of glass. It then applies a bead of sealant around the edges. The tool structure the robot uses to hold the glass has a set of laser sensors that are able to measure the geometry of the window opening as the robot prepares to install the glass. The sensors allow the robot to center the windshield perfectly before pressing it into place. Technicians now manually install the bi-xenon headlights and LED daytime running lights. A video camera in front of the rear-view mirror will keep track of the exterior driving conditions and automatically inform the lights to shift modes, adjusting the depth and width of the beam accordingly. The Qattroporte's body is now ready to meet its powertrain. A yellow platform transports the mechanical elements directly under the body, which hangs suspended above. Technicians then hydraulically raise the powertrain into place so they can begin attaching the 2 segments of the car together. Once technicians complete the marriage of the Qattroporte body and powertrain, they install the doors and wheels to reach the finished product. But a few finishing touches and tests remain before it's ready to go. Parking the car over this station allows a technician to access the undercarriage and perform an extremely precise wheel alignment. It also reveals another unusual feature of the Qattroporte, its flat bottom. The central cover over the exhaust system will be installed once technicians no longer need access to it. The flat bottom feature is designed to make the car more aerodynamic. This improves its performance while reducing fuel consumption. Wheel alignment also improves the car's efficiency and handling. Following WCM, or world-class manufacturing principles, a computer monitor registers the alignment position as he works. The inline wheel alignment benches use laser sensors connected to a computer to provide precise feedback to the technician. Every single Qattroporte must undergo stringent quality control tests before manufacturers allow it out into the world. To start, each car is driven into this testing room, where a trained driver puts it through its paces for up to 15 minutes. The car is connected to a computer that measures all its parameters. The driver revs the car up to about 80 miles per hour, while the computer checks the exhaust system, the shock absorbers, the steering, the wheel quality, rolling noise, engine sound, gear shifts, brakes, and every other element of the car's performance. Next, the car drives onto a mechanism called a shaking table. Simulating the bumpiness of normal roads, the shaking table gives the Qattroporte's suspension a thorough workout. This test also ensures that all of the car's connections, whether mechanical or electrical, are solid and can't be shaken loose. For good measure, each car will also go out on the road for almost 45 miles to make sure everything works properly in a real-world setting. Every single Qattroporte must also endure a thorough soaking. The car has to be able to perform in all weather. So for 20 minutes, a bank of high-pressure nozzles simulates a complete range of different rains. Shooting water at the car from above, below, and all around, the test includes everything from a slow but persistent drizzle to a classic rainstorm to a sudden tropical monsoon. Technicians then check the interior of the car to make sure there are no leaks and that the water gaskets are working properly. In the company's Modena showroom, a road-ready Qattroporte joins the Maserati fleet. Also on display here are the grills featured on the front end of Maserati cars through history. In 2014, Maserati turns 100. Maserati only produces the Qattroporte on demand. In other words, every single car they manufacture has already been pre-ordered. For an added fee, buyers can customize their new dream car down to the smallest detail. Every Maserati showroom in the world offers a service where customers can choose different paint colors, leatherwork, and stitching. They can choose carbon fiber as an interior finishing material, or select from 9 different types of wood instead. The company also offers this service on the web, where customers can use an online configurator to build their own personalized Maserati. A luxury vehicle with the heart of a sports car, the Qattroporte follows the basic template of a sedan. It has 4 doors and a trunk, but that's where the resemblance stops. From its multifunction touchscreen navigation system to its powerful engine, stamped with the unmistakable Trident emblem, every other aspect of the car is out of the ordinary. Flagship of the Maserati fleet, the new Qattroporte is both powerful and luxurious. With its all-wheel drive mode and increased fuel efficiency, it's also practical. Nearly 100 years of invention and craftsmanship are behind this car, which despite its 50-year pedigree, continues to be state-of-the-art.